I wanted to talk for a minute about why I get mistaken for being a technologist when what I really am in a lot of ways is closer to like an anthropologist or sociologist, at least an armchair one at best, and a reporter. Never a journalist. I don't have a journalism degree, but a reporter. My experience with technology has always been similar to that of someone who needs a tool to get to a place, not someone who is interested and obsessed with the tool. When I was young, I first started playing with computers with my dad, who was working, and he had to do something to keep me interested. And so there was this old-timey Star Trek game that we played on one of those green and white paper printer kind of things. I can't imagine the reams of paper I ruined playing this Star Trek game, very primitive game. Years later, the first time I got online was using a modem on my first ever, I think we did it first on the Mac, and we went and connected to bulletin board services. And if you remember BBS's, it was imagine Twitter with a bunch of rooms, like chat rooms, but imagine there being like, instead of tweeting your opinion and seeing everyone else's opinion, you dial a phone number, you log in, you type what you're going to type, and then you log out, and then someone comes and sees what you typed and then, responds. And some places had only one phone line, so you'd have to wait your turn. But in that experience, what happened was I was a guy in Maine, and there were I always make this joke that there were only 3 conversations you could have. Would the Red Sox ever win a World Series? Because back then that was not likely. Were you Led Zeppelin or Van Halen? I was Van Halen. And were you Mustang or were you Camaro? And I was Camaro. And that was it. That was all the conversation besides the weather. And at least that's how it felt to me growing up. And so I wanted to talk about, was Star Trek better than Star Wars? I always argued Star Trek, but only from the sort of logic sense, not the which one's more entertaining. Was, could Superman ever really be interesting if he's so invulnerable and all that kind of a thing? And nerdy stuff, right? Like I just wanted to talk nerdy stuff with nerdy people. And what I loved about the, primitive versions of the internet and then as it developed was that we could reach and talk with and connect with people who liked what we liked. And we could bring things that we thought were interesting forward and talk to other people about them and not just have conversations based on who was nearby. But talk is talk, right? So if that's all it was, then it wouldn't have been an especially interesting thing. But what I liked also is that you can bring resources to bear where you need them. And that's a cool thing. I run a very small Facebook group. There's 14,000 people in it. It's called The Secret Team. And basically the Secret Team exists for one thing. And you basically go to either ask a question, hey, who knows anything about X? Or you provide some kind of an, answer to someone else who's asked a question. That's it. You don't promote anything. You don't offer anything. We fiercely delete everything that's self-promotional. So it just exists to help people. But think about how great it is. I had a friend ask a question. I said, I don't know, go ask the Secret Team. And there's always someone there who can answer it. And that's cool to me. The other thing that's so cool is that people who are different, people who aren't exactly the same as, sort of social norms can go find others like them. My oldest found out first that she was gay and then that she actually was trans and thus a he, right? So my oldest is a guy. And is a trans guy, and there's not a lot of research or services or support or anything right locally, but there's tons all over the web, and Vince can connect with other trans men if he wants and talk to them about what they're dealing with. He can observe them through places like Instagram and not even have to. He can lurk, right, and still get the information that he wants, and of course we can too. So there's so many ways that these tools allow us to come to the picnic with something. Now, I want to explain that analogy because I use it a lot. When I say bring something to the picnic, it's like potluck, right? What do you bring? You make a dish and you show up and you bring it to the picnic and you're like, this is the thing I do, or this is the thing I can help with, or I'm capable of. We all bring something to the picnic. So what is technology to me? It's not this, it's not these camera angles. It's not, gee whiz, what kind of camera is that? What kind of mic are you using and all that? This is just, no one asked Hemingway what kind of pencils he used to write his books, right? No one asked what typewriter he was on. The opportunity to use these tools is to allow us to connect with people and share what matters to us to remind people that they're not alone, that they're also important and doing something good, or that they're doing what we're doing. There's so many ways that we can build relationships with people digitally now and make that matter. And in a world where thousands and thousands of content marketing posts are published every day, and when there's just so much content, there's 1 billion hours of video produced every day for YouTube. 1 billion hours. And in it, you're not going to win by volume. You're going to win by connecting and by helping people figure out where they feel like they belong. And that's why I'm here. That's what I've always been doing. No matter what I'm talking about, if I'm talking about Twitter or podcasting or video or any of these tools, it's almost like I have to hide the broccoli inside the cake to get you there anyway, right? So I say Twitter's cool, and people go, okay, yeah, why is Twitter cool? And then all my examples are human examples. All my examples are, how do we connect? How do we find a place where we belong? People don't want to fit in anymore, right? We're so tired of fitting in. Fitting in is like lining up to somebody else's thing. We all want to be somewhere where we belong. And that's what I'm doing. So if you wonder sort of what this means to everything else that I make, or how does it all tie together, if you're wondering why I make the shows I do and the videos I do and the stuff I talk about, it's that. So I'm mistaken all the time for being a technologist because I use technology. But that doesn't matter. It's just a gateway to reach you.